There's a character in one of my favorite animes, My Hero Academia, who's taught me more about life than half of the self-help books that I've read, and that's Mirio Togata, also known as Lemillion. Now, when you look at his character at first and just see the smile, the goofiness, and someone who's always super positive, most will assume that he's just built different and that his character is just written to be naturally happy. But the more that we get to know him, the more we realize that Mirio isn't optimistic because life is easy. He's optimistic because he decides to be. And that's important, because how many times do we let one bad day, one email, one comment completely dictate who we are? Mirio doesn't live that way. Now, we gotta talk about his quirk, because it's a quirk that sounds like it's broken, and when he fights, it looks like he's unstoppable. His quirk, it's permeation. So he can phase through anything, through walls, the ground, phase through attacks and people, basically everything. But this is something that gets overlooked unless you really pay attention. When he uses his quirk, everything passes through him. That would mean no air is going through his lungs, no light is hitting his eyes, and no sound is going through his ears. Meaning he can't see, he can't hear, and he can't breathe. He explains the only thing he feels is falling. So can you imagine being born with a quirk where when you use it, instantly you're blind, you're deaf, you can't breathe, and your body is just falling through the floor? After someone put it for me that way, I realized genuinely what a horrible quirk. In the anime, his dad even warned him that permeation is the kind of quirk that can easily get you killed if you mess it up. And let's be real, most people would hear that and go, yeah, I'm good, I probably won't be using my quirk ever. But Mirio heard that and said, bet, guess I just gotta train harder. There's this moment in the anime where he absolutely bodies all of Class 1A by himself, and afterwards he explains how his quirk actually works. So, not to get too nerdy, but for those who don't know, when he phases into the floor, he starts falling, and if he turns permeation off while he's inside a solid object, physics kicks in and his body gets shot out because two masses can't occupy the same space. So he uses this repelling effect like a slingshot to launch himself at an insane speed in whatever direction he wants. And that teleportation that everyone sees, well, it's not teleportation. He explains that it's pure prediction mixed with a lot of experience and just plain old physics. And what I mean by that is he literally has to predict where his enemies are going to be, sink into the floor blind, turn the quirk off at the exact right time, and launch out of the ground at the perfect angle to hit them. And remember, all of this is happening while he can't see, he can't hear, and he can't breathe. And there's a part in the anime where his friend Mina calls it a video game glitch, and Mirio's like, yeah, but I made it strong. And honestly, that's the part I love, the I made it strong. Because he's not pretending that permeation is some naturally overpowered quirk. He's saying, this was a terrible quirk until I put enough reps to make it look easy. And when you add in guidance or mentorship, specifically talking about his internship with his mentor, Sir Night Eye, you get a kid who couldn't get through a piece of wood without messing up. A kid who struggled just to take a step without phasing straight through the floor, to a kid who goes full psycho mode on training and learned the exact sequence of which body parts to phase and when. Figuring out how to move while keeping at least 1 foot solid so he doesn't freefall. Using that repelling effect to basically teleport around enemies, and even going as far as designing a costume made from his own hair so his clothes don't fall off every time he uses his quirk. This took years, and to everyone else it would be impossible, but Mirio forced his mind and body to master a quirk most people would be afraid of using. That's why he's a true prodigy, not because it came easy to him, but because nothing about his power is forgiving. He turns suffering into a skill, and this is where I connect it back to real life. Some people look at successful creators, athletes, entrepreneurs, and think, yeah, they're just talented, but they don't see the Night Eye training arc. They don't see the 10,000 quiet reps just so one moment looks effortless. Now, this whole video was actually inspired by a TikTok I watched, and I'll give him his flowers for being able to write so poetically. His account is called Boom, if you guys want to go check him out. But in one part of the post, he had written, Mirio's real power? He loves people fearlessly. Mirio is one of the only heroes in My Hero Academia who isn't motivated by revenge, trauma, guilt, or insecurity. He's motivated by love. Pure, unashamed love. He loves his classmates, he loves kids, he loves Eri, he loves being alive, and he loves being a hero. Love isn't his weakness, it's his weapon. He loves so loudly that fear cannot penetrate him, and that's why Overhaul couldn't break him, and that's why losing his quirk didn't shatter him. That's why he kept smiling even when grieving his father-like mentor, Night-Eye. Mirio lives the virtue St. Paul describes. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Now, this is why his heroism feels spiritual. Now, let's actually talk about that Overhaul fight, because that's the moment that really shows you who Mirio is. Because everything he ever trained for, every rep, every lesson, every piece of pain he turned into skill leads to this moment. In the anime, you can see Mirio is fighting like a monster. He's phasing through bullets, predicting every angle, protecting Eri without letting a single attack touch her. It's one of the cleanest displays of mastery in the entire series, but then the moment came where he had to make a decision. Overhaul pointed the gun at Eri and shot the quirk erasing bullet, and Mirio had a choice of either let it hit Eri or get hit with the bullet. And in true Mirio fashion, he saw Eri in danger. He doesn't think about himself. He steps in, he takes the hit, and in that moment, his quirk, his identity as a hero, everything he's built, it disappears. Just gone. And even though at that point he's quirkless, he's bleeding out, seemingly hopeless, Mirio refuses to fall. He refuses to give Overhaul even 1 inch of space between him and Eri. He uses his body as a shield, his instincts as a weapon, and his heart as the thing holding him upright. And he still wins long enough to save her. Most characters lose their sense of identity after losing their power. Mirio doesn't, and he's one of the only characters in the anime who proves it was never the quirk that made him special, and that's what made him powerful. A lot of us build our identity around our job, our status, our skill, our platform, even results, and when we lose it, we feel lost. Hell, even myself, I built my whole business and identity on Instagram, and when I got suspended, I felt lost for a bit. But Mirio, seeing how he doesn't need the validation, how he doesn't need the glory, how he doesn't need a title, after losing his quirk and realizing he still knows exactly who he is, it made me realize that losing the quirk didn't break him, it revealed who he truly is. He fully represents the idea that strength is chosen, joy is chosen, love is chosen, heroism is chosen, and goodness is chosen every day. The anime shows many characters broken by trauma, but Mirio shows the exact opposite. A hero who built himself through relentless hope. And something people don't talk about enough is what happens after. Mirio doesn't just save Eri physically, he revives her soul. Think about it. Eri's worldview up to that point, pain was normal, suffering is expected, smiling is suspicious, kindness is manipulation. Her whole life taught her that love was a trap, and then Mirio walks in with this big goofy grin and she sees something she's never seen before. Someone who loves people fearlessly, someone who doesn't flinch when things get ugly, someone who protects without asking for anything in return. And eventually, Eri starts to mirror him. Her smile comes back, her laughter comes back. She starts to believe the world isn't only pain. Mirio becomes a guardian angel for her, a symbol of unconditional safety, consistency, and love with no agenda. That's not quirk power, that's who he is to his core. So here's why I'm even making this video and not just nerding out about an anime character for no reason. Mirio represents everything that I believe about a story and life. I said it before and I'll say it again. Strength is chosen, joy is chosen, love is chosen, heroism is chosen. And usually on days you least feel like choosing it. There's a quote that I love. The integrity of a bridge is only revealed under weight, and life will test you, put you through challenges where you need to make a choice. And will you choose to be strong, choose to love, choose to be a hero, or choose to give up? Mirio had every excuse to be bitter, scared, or numb. Instead, he becomes this walking reminder that your story isn't defined by what you were given, it's defined by what you decide to do with it. Mirio Togata is Lemillion, not because he wants a big number beside his name, but because he wants to save so many people that the number stops mattering. And if there's one thing I hope you take from him, it's this. You don't need a perfect quirk. You don't need ideal circumstances. You don't need everything figured out. You just need to choose. Today, and then tomorrow, and then the day after. To be someone worth believing in. That's heroism, that's storytelling, and that's why Mirio will always be one of my favorite characters in anime. If you're new to this channel, I'm all about personal branding and storytelling and helping people lean into their story to grow. So if you're into that and apparently into anime, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.